fine.
Put it to the comment box.
Oh, gotcha.
We just check the feed. Right, we live concerning Christ. Yeah, with me, just check the feed. Let's see. All right. Was in Christ. Christ. Sounds good. Right. Shalom Israel with the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana. And since 1969, we've been teaching the truth according to the Bible, that so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians. We are the Israelites. We are the real Jews according to the Bible. I'm preaching officer Sha'al, holding the class down for preaching officer 5,000. Shalaya Allah. Let's clap it up for the class.
That's right.
All right, we're going to get it on today. Listen, man, today is Brotherhood class, man. All right? Brotherhood is something that's very important within our nation. We have a model in ISUBK. We say that brotherhood is a weapon.
That's right.
You understand? Why is brotherhood a weapon? We use that as a spiritual term. You understand? Because out of all the chaos, out of all the evil that the oppressor has put upon us, you understand? The only way to thrive as a people is to show brotherhood and sisterhood. You understand? And we use brotherhood and sisterhood as a weapon. You understand? Things like kindness, mercy, forgiveness, compassion, understanding, long-suffering. You understand? Being there for one another. You understand? Listening to one another, taking care of one another, feeding and clothing one another. You understand? These are the elements that we need as a people to survive against a nation that hate us, man. You understand? And Christ being the ultimate example, him dying for us, him dying for Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians, a man who was perfect, a man who showed brotherhood and taught brotherhood and kept all the Lord's statutes and commandments. It wasn't a sinner. You understand? He died for us. You understand? Tell me what white man would die for you, Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians. You understand? Why you following the footsteps of your oppressor and hating one another, tell me what white man would die for you. You understand? And I'm talking about that white Jesus Christ, Caesar Borgia. You see what's going on in the you see what's going on with the Levites and the you know what's going on with the Haitians and the Dominicans. An 11-year-old girl got unalived by Dominicans, man. You understand? And the persecution that our brothers, you understand? Because Dominicans are our brothers. We love our brothers, man. You understand? But they got to understand that we are the same. You understand? The only thing that divides us is a landmass within that what is that? The land of
it's a border.
It's a border, man. You understand? But we're still brothers and sisters, man. You understand? And here in the ISUBK under Commander General Yohana is the only organization, I should say, that shows Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians how to love each other.
That's right.
You can't find it in the Christian church. You can't find it in the Muslim mosque. You understand? You can't find it in Egyptology or any black group. You understand?
Right.
You see the or any other fake Israelite group, you see the controversies that's coming out with all these groups. Why? Because the Lord is now with them. You understand? So brotherhood in our nation is very imperative, is very important, and it's something sacred. And the other nations know that if we band together, and show love one to another, that listen, man, we can overthrow this kingdom, man. You understand? And that's simply by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? So we're going to go into the story of King David and Uriah. All right. My title of the class is Brotherhood Overcomes Evil Intentions. Man, we're gonna read a story about this soldier, man. This mighty soldier by the name of Uriah. You understand how he got mistreated by King David, man. You understand? King David had a demon on him that wanted Uriah unalive. Well, we're going to get to it. I don't want to jump the gun. Bubba Kasha, if I may, can I get if I may, can I get 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 1? And with that, you understand, we are living in a very timid and stressful time. You understand? When Donald Trump and his administrative is coming down on all Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians. You understand? Particularly our Latino brothers, our Mexican brothers, man. You understand? You see what ICE is doing to them. ICE is terrorizing our Mexican brothers. You understand? Breaking their spirits. You understand? Snatching babies from their arms. You understand? They are under stress, tremendous stress. And like the Bible says that Judah and Israel were oppressed together. You understand? Each tribe of Israel had their turn in Esau's oppression, man. You understand? The Negroes with the Atlantic slave trade. You understand? The Haitians, the North American Indians. You just followed a filthy, disgusting pagan holiday, Thanksgiving, last Thursday. You understand? Celebrating the slaughter of your Native North American Indian brothers and sisters. You understand? And I know you Black people in the hood, you understand? Y'all like to say, oh, I got Cherokee in my blood. You understand? Oh, I'm mixed with Cherokee. You understand? But yet, you sit and you obey the white man and eat a dinner that he tells you to eat on Thanksgiving. You understand? Now it's the time to be more understanding, you understand, and uplift your brother and sister in these hard times, particularly the Mexicans and the Haitians, man. You understand? All 12 tribes, because you see what's going on. You see the propaganda that's going on. You understand? We got to be brotherly to one another. Listen, are we going to go and get into arguments? Yes, we are family. You understand? We in the ghettos, the slums, the reservations, and the barrios. We cramped up. No space, no space. We bumping against each other. But we got to understand that we are all the same. You understand? We're just trying to make it here in this kingdom called America. You understand? Throughout the four corners of the earth. Have some compassion, have some mercy. You understand? Before you want to show an evil intention to your brother or sister, you understand? Show some brotherhood, show some sisterhood, some mercy and compassion. And if you don't know how to, no sweat. We're going to teach you within the spirit of the Most High Christ. You understand? ISUPK under command of General Yohanan. So if I may, sir, Brother Kusha, can I get 2 Samuel chapter 11 and verse 1?
The book of 2 Samuel chapter 11 verse 1. And it came to pass after the years was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him.
That David sent Joab and his servants with him. Read on.
And all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon.
And they destroyed the children of Ammon. Ammon would be today known as biblically as today the Japanese. Read on.
And besieged Rabbah.
Read on.
But David tarried still at Jerusalem.
Read on.
Verse 2. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from of his bed.
And it came to pass in an evening tide. You understand? So this was in the evening that David arose from his bed. You understand? Now listen, we all adults here. You understand? David was a mighty and healthy man. You understand? And if you arose from the bed, you understand, in the morning, you understand, reading between the lines, you understand? So David was ready. Read on.
And walked upon the roof of the king's house.
And walked upon the roof of the king's house. Read on.
And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself.
Now, David, early in the morning, you understand, he saw a woman washing herself. This woman was naked, washing herself. And David was looking upon her nakedness. Read on.
And the woman was very beautiful to look upon.
And this woman, she was very beautiful to look upon. You understand now, what is David going to do? Is David going to turn away and not look at her? You understand? Is David going to say, oh no, this is unlawful, I'm not supposed to be looking at this woman could be married. Right. Let me turn away from looking at this woman. You understand? David knew the Lord's statutes and commandments. Read on.
Verse 3. And David sent and inquired after the woman.
And David sent and inquired after the woman. So David sent one of his messengers and said, get some information on this woman, who this woman is, because after all, you know, she's beautiful. So now David, you understand, he has that lust for her. He wants her. So he's sending a message to go seek after her. You understand who she belongs to. What's her name? What's her house? Read on.
And one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?
And one said, is not this Bathsheba? So this sister name was Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah. So she belonged to a man. Right. She had a husband. And that husband was named Uriah the Hittite. Now, don't get confused. You understand? We're not talking about an African. You understand? Uriah was an Israelite. Read on.
Verse 4. And David sent messengers and took her.
And David sent what?
Messengers and took her.
And David sent messengers and took her. Well, let's get this point straight. David knew who this sister was, Bathsheba was. You understand? She was the wife of Uriah. Now, however, David sent messengers to take her. Read on.
And she came in unto him.
And she did what?
Came in unto him.
Read on.
And he lay with her.
And he lied with her. So she came in. She was summoned by the king. You understand? She might have not known what the business was. You understand? Maybe the business had to do with Uriah. You know, Uriah was a soldier. Right. You understand? Maybe she was going to receive some news that her husband had been slayed in a battle. When you're summoned by the king, you have no choice but to come, right? Read that from the top of the show, verse 4.
Verse 4, and David sent messengers and took her.
And David sent messengers and took her. You understand? Summoned her to the king. Read on.
And she came in unto him.
And she came in unto him.
And he lay with her.
And he lay with her. Now, in between that, you understand, David had to have some smooth talk, some game. You understand? David had to say some type of powerful words to get into her mind for her to lay with him. When it says lay with him, it's talking about to have sex with him, right? So this married woman who's married to this brother named Uriah, she committed adultery against her husband.
Right.
And also King David committed adultery against his brother Uriah. A member of his army,
right? A
servant of King David. Read on.
For she was purified from her uncleanness.
For she was purified from uncleanness. Now, you know, when you have sex, you gotta bathe yourself. You understand? Until the sun goes down, then you're clean. Read on. So David, she kept her in the chamber until she was clean. Read on.
And she returned unto her house.
And she did what?
Returned unto her house.
And she returned unto her house. And this is something far so often that Black, Hispanic, and Native North American do in our ignorance due to our sisters, man. You understand? We have sex with our sisters. We get all the pleasure, all the orgasms, and we send her away back to her house.
Right.
You understand? This is a major occurrence amongst Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians, man, where we treat our women like whores, man. Our women are not to be treated like whores.
Right.
Our women are not to be treated as one-night stands. That's the oppressor culture.
Right.
You understand? That's Roman and Greek culture. You understand? When they have all those wild orgy parties and have sex with one another and wake up in the morning like nothing ever happened again. Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indian men, you are not to do that to our Black and Hispanic sisters, man. And this right here, this is exactly what King David did, man. He had a one-night stand with this brother's wife and sent her away like, oh, it's nothing. Read on.
Verse 5. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child.
Oh, man. Verse 5. And the woman conceived. You understand? Now she's pregnant with guess whose baby? It's not Uriah's baby. You understand? She conceived by King David. But can you read verse 5 again?
Verse 5, 2 Samuel chapter 11. And the woman conceived.
And she conceived. She got pregnant. You understand? That one night of passion. You understand? That one night of irresponsible passion got her pregnant. She conceived. Now she's with child by King David. You understand what King David is going to do? What Bathsheba is going to do? And like I said, man, this is a hood story right here, man, because this goes on every single day in our neighborhoods, man. You understand? Where we have what? Unresponsible sex. You understand? Oh, do you have a man? What your man got to do with me? Oh yeah, I got a man. So what? You know what I'm saying? I'm free. I can have friends. Committing adultery. You understand? Not being mindful, but all the diseases that's going on around today. You understand? So now this sister, she got conceived. She was conceived. And sent and told, so like in verse 5, and a woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. You understand? Now David has an issue on his hands.
Right.
He has a major issue on his hands, man. That one night of passion, you understand? That one night of passion is going to get him into some trouble, man. The woman too, Bathsheba. Because why? It was consensual between the both of them. It's not like she yelled out rape. That's in the laws, you know. You understand? If a sister is getting forced sexually, right, she has to cry out. If she doesn't cry out, it's considered consensual. That's the law in the Bible. Read on.
Verse 6. And David sent to Joab.
And David sent to Joab. Now we got to be careful with this brother Joab, man. You know what I'm saying? Joab, he's like what you call like a general. You understand? To King David. You understand? That's his right hand man. He goes out and he handles follows the orders. You understand? Get missions done. This brother by the name of Joab. Read verse 6 again from the top.
Verse 6. And David sent to Joab, saying, send me Uriah the Hittite.
And David sent to Joab, saying, send me Uriah the Hittite. Now, David is putting Joab on a mission. This brother that Bathsheba is married to, go, send him to me. Read on.
And Joab sent Uriah to David. Verse 7. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did.
And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did. Read on.
And how the people did. And how the war prospered.
So now David, you understand, he's acting cunning now. You understand? He's trying to get on the side of of Uriah. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to fill Uriah out. You understand? He's trying to gain a trust with Uriah. So now he's asking Uriah, how did Joab did on the battle? Read on.
Verse 8. And David said to Uriah, go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house.
So read that from the top.
Verse 8. And David said to Uriah,
and this is what David said to Uriah in his cunningness, knowing that he got his wife pregnant, Bathsheba. You understand? Read on.
Go down to thy house and wash thy feet.
Go down to thy house and wash thy feet. Now, your man is in the midst of your fellow soldiers are in the midst of a battle. You understand? And you get pulled to the side by the king, and the king tells you to go home and wash thy feet. You know what I'm saying? That might sound good, doesn't it? You understand? Who the hell would want to be in this battle anyway? I could go home, a nice warm house, a warm plate of food, my woman's there. You understand? I could get a nice bath. That would sound good, right? You understand? Who want to be in this battle and all this bloodshed? You understand? That might sound good to a weak man. You understand? That might sound to that might sound good to a brother who's not fully, you understand, who's not fully into the brotherhood. Would you abandon your brothers? You understand? Why your brothers are on a battlefield? Where you just drop your sword just to have your own self-pleasure? Well, this is what King David is trying to get Uriah to do, to abandon his brothers and go home. Read on.
And Uriah departed out of the king's house.
And Uriah departed out of the king's house. Now, what would Uriah do? You understand? Is Uriah going to take the offer? Is he going to say, sure thing, king, no sweat. Bet, thank you. You know what? I'll see you and the other brothers tomorrow on the battlefield. I'm going to take tonight off. The water, King David. Read on.
And there followed him a mess of meat from the king.
Read on.
Verse 9. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord.
And there followed him a mess of meat from the king. And listen, King David also prepared all this meat for him. You understand? All this food. To what? To distract Uriah. But what Uriah did, read verse 9 again.
Verse 9. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house.
Uriah did what?
Slept at the door of the king's house.
But Uriah slept at the door at
the door of the king's house.
But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house. Read on.
With all the servants of his lord.
With all the servants of his lord. Read on.
And went not down to his house.
Man, that's hardcore, man. You understand? He turned down that offer of pleasure. You understand? Of selfishness. You understand? From the king. Uriah, he slept at the door of the king's house with all his servants of his lord. He stayed with his brothers in battle. You understand? He stayed with his brothers at the king's door. He didn't return back to his home, to a warm bed, you know what I'm saying, food and his woman in a nice hot bath. He said, no, I'm going to stick with my brothers. And this is what Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians, this is what we got to do. You understand? As a nation, you understand? We got to stick with our Mexican brothers. We got to stick with our Haitian brothers. We got to stick with our North American brothers, our so-called Black, our Dominican brothers. You understand? All 12 tribes. You understand? We can't let Esau depart us and use propaganda to hate each other. We gotta follow what Uriah did, man. You understand? We cannot abandon our brothers and sisters in a time of need, man. You understand? In the 12 tribes of Israel, we are in the time of need, you understand, to help each other. Read on.
Verse 10. And when they had told David,
can I get verse 9 again?
Sure. Verse 9. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house.
So he didn't depart. He didn't return to his house. You understand? He stayed. He kept the brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? He kept it one west, and he slept at the king's door with the servants. Read on.
With all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house.
And he didn't go down to his house, man. He said, nah, man, I'm going to stay with my brothers. My brothers need me. Read on.
Verse 10. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house.
And now they got word to the king that his plan didn't work. Uriah went down to his house. You understand? He showed brotherhood and stayed with his brothers despite what the king offered him. All that meat was offered him. Listen, if my brothers can't get this meat, you understand, this food, pause, this food, I'm not going. You understand? Listen, man, I eat some crackers and water, you understand, or, you know, some chicken just like the rest of us, just like the rest of them. Who am I? I'm no better than my brother who's in this battle, who's in this army. Read on.
David said unto Uriah, camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down unto thy house?
So now, David, he's baffled. He's asking, why haven't you went down to thy house? You understand? Because let me tell you something. Any selfish man will take that order, man. Any man, you understand, who's not in the brotherhood of Christ, would take that order, man. You know what I'm saying? Would abandon their brothers, would forsake their brothers, wouldn't think twice. You understand? Oh, well, what if my brother needed me? You know what I'm saying? You could have been there to save your brother's life. But yeah, you were at home enjoying a damn plate of hot food and your woman. You understand? And your cozy bed. Well, you could have been helping your brothers and saving your brothers' lives in battle. Read on.
Verse 11. And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents.
The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents. Read on.
And my Lord Joab.
And my Lord Joab. You understand? Uriah is even giving honor, you understand, to King David, second top man, Joab, calling him his Lord. Read on.
And the servants of my Lord.
And the servants of my Lord, read on.
Are encamped in the open field.
Are encamped in the open fields. They are encamped in the open fields. You understand? There's danger on every side outside the open fields, man. Anything could go down at a moment's notice. But Uriah chose to stay with his brothers, man. You understand? This is what Uriah is telling David as to why he didn't take the offer to go down to his house. Read on.
Shall I then go into my house?
Shall I then go into my house for my own self-pleasure? You understand? To what? To play some video games? You understand? Or maybe it's I get it. You miss your children. You haven't seen your children in a week. You understand? You've been doing the work of the ISUPK all week. You haven't seen your children. You miss your children. You miss your wife. You understand? And at the time when your brothers need you, you just choose your wife and your children, man. But you got to remember what happened to Ezekiel, how the Most High gave Ezekiel's wife a stroke. You understand? You want to love carnal things so much that the Lord is going to take that thing which you love and desire so much more than your brothers away from you, man. You understand what the scripture says in Romans? I'm paraphrasing. What was written aforetime was written for your learning, man.
That's right.
You understand? The Bible is here to correct it's to show the mistakes of our ancestors. Like Captain Zakar always said, man, this is the cheat code. The Bible is the cheat code. You understand? We should read this book and say, oh, you know what? Our ancestors made this, that, and that mistake. I'm not going to do it. You understand? What was written aforetime was written for our learning. Read on.
Shall I then go into my house?
Shall I then go into mine house? Read on.
To eat and to drink.
To eat and to drink. You understand? To get to be full and merry. You understand? And not have a worry in the world. To not have a concern on my brothers and sisters, you understand, that are in the battle. You understand? You started out the battle, right? You started out the battle with your brothers and sisters, but somewhere along the line, in the middle, when things get tough, you can't stick it out with your brothers. You understand? Your brothers and sisters. You understand? You're gonna leave your brothers and sisters because of a demon that popped into your head. You understand? When the school offers counseling for your thoughts, for your conflicted thoughts. You understand? The Bible says, don't lean upon your own understanding. This is what gets so many brothers and sisters out the truth, because you choose to lean on your own understanding when that thought pops into your head, man. And that thought will make you forget about all the good times, all the times that you war with your brothers. You understand? All the times that you shed blood, sweat, and tears with your brothers, all for a thought, for a feeling. You understand? That Satan pops into your head, man. So many brothers came and gone here in ISUPK. I witnessed it. Brothers dropped their sword and went home to their women, to their children, to their job. Read on, Brother Christian.
And to lie with my wife.
And to what?
Lie with my wife.
And to lie with my wife. You know what I'm saying? Who don't want to lie with that woman, with that wife? You understand? That's a man's pleasure. That's like probably one of the second top pleasure or third pleasure after serving the Lord and having brotherhood. But Uriah said to sleep with my wife? Nah, man. Nah, man. It's far important things for me to do. You understand? And what is Uriah doing? He's showing an example to his other brothers. He's showing an example to his other brothers, man. Can you imagine the other soldiers seeing that Uriah was offered to go down to his house to have a food and sleep with his wife and have a nice bath? You don't think that these other brothers want to do that? A lot of brothers may want to. So, like, you have to say something?
Yeah, also not only his other brothers, but he's cutting the hell out of David as well, because the woman that David so wanted to sleep with, for the sake of Uriah's brothers, he don't want to even sleep with her.
Right.
Because he's thinking about his brothers, but David was just thinking about that woman.
Right.
And he was so weak at this point, and that brother's spirit, was so on point that that demon was strong on David, man, and he was cutting the hell out of him.
That's right. Cut on calm. What you brought out is so heavy. You understand? In essence, Uriah is showing David brotherhood. Read on.
As thou livest, and as thy soul liveth, I will not do this thing.
Read on.
Verse 12.
So basically, he's saying, listen, King David. Listen, David. You understand? As my soul liveth, I'm not going to depart from my brother. You understand? Listen, I'm not going to depart from you, David. Meanwhile, Uriah don't know what the hell is going on. He don't know that David slept with his wife. He don't know that his wife is pregnant by King David. But all Uriah know is to show brotherhood to David and his servants. Read on.
And David said to Uriah, verse 12, tarry here today also.
And Salakia, if I may, and let's bring it back, you know what I'm saying? Let's bring it back to, the modern times. You know what I'm saying? When us brothers, we have friends, you understand? We it's here in the ISUPK, we know not to commit adultery. You understand? But once you understand, we was out in the world. We had many friends. You understand? We had many male friends that had women too. You understand? We would go to our homeboy's house. You know what I'm saying? And kick it. You know what I'm saying? Watch a football game. And there'd be many a times when the brothers fight, be walking around with some kind of revealing outfit or something like that. You know what I'm saying? In many cases, thoughts may pop into your head. Or in some cases, she might try to entice you, just like how Joseph was enticed in Egypt by Pharaoh's wife. And far too often, you understand, we fall into that enticement and commit adultery against our brother, man. It happens so many times, man. We hear the stories of how, what was that rapper? That rapper a couple of years ago, I believe it was in Atlanta. You understand? He was some type of rapper. You understand? Some rapper I've never even heard about before, but he was a rapper, and he was so popular and so the man that he went and had sex with his brother's wife. Lo and behold, the brother walked in on him having sex in his brother's own bed and unalived this brother. That's why keeping these laws, statutes, commandments are so important. You understand? In the Bible, I'm paraphrasing, it says, love worketh no ill will towards his neighbor. What is that love? Love is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. That way, when you keep the law, statutes, commandments, you understand you don't what's that word I'm looking for? You don't trespass against your brother. You understand? You don't trespass against your brother where that brother have hurt that you trespass against him, and now that brother want to unalive you. Because this is what happens far too often, man. You understand? Oh, what you gonna do? Are you gonna be like Uriah? You understand? And not gaze on your friend's woman. You understand? Or would you be that brother and tell him to the side and listen, brother, no disrespect, but you understand? If your woman don't put on clothing, I'm gonna have to leave, man. You understand that it's not appropriate how she's dressed, walking around. And guess what? He might not even understand that. He might get offended. Well, this is my house. My woman could walk around like how she want to walk around. But that's how destroyed we are, man. The Bible says that. I believe it's in Hosea. I'm paraphrasing that we are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, man. You understand? When the brother is simply trying to tell you, listen, this is a compromise. This is a situation that's uncomfortable. And you got to thank brothers like that. You got to respect brothers like that, man. Because a brother who's unbrotherly, he wouldn't have sex with your woman. You understand? Or a sister that's a whore, she's going to have sex with another man. Salaki, if you don't know for sure. What verse
was trouble? Is that what you're talking about?
I believe so.
Trouble?
He got unalived by
this girl. I think, he left them a week before.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was fresh. And he had this rapper over a house, and the ex came and unalived them.
You know what I'm saying? Stories like this go on every single day, man. Between Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians, man. Stories go on like this every single day. What verse we about to show?
Verse 12. And David said to Uriah, tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow.
So now David, you understand? So now David, he's taking another approach, right? Verse 12, and David said to Uriah, tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart, so that Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. Read on.
Verse 13, and when David had called him, he did eat and drank before him, and he made him drunk.
Now, this time, you understand, Uriah, You understand? He stayed, right? Verse 13, and when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. Now, Uriah is at King David's feast, and King David, I keep saying King David, and David made him eat and drink, and made Uriah drunk. So now Uriah, he's drunk. Now, when you know when you're drunk, you understand, you're not in your right mind. You understand, you're not sober enough to think or operate. You understand, you're not as sharp as you were when you were sober. You understand, your thoughts can't process. Read on.
And at even he went out to lie on his bed.
And that Salakia, read on, Salakia.
And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord, but went not down to his house.
Now, this is heavy. You understand? Because now King David, he's still trying to get Uriah, you understand, to depart. Right? Verse 13, and when David had caught him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of the Lord. So now, even in his drunkenness, you understand, you figure, oh, let me go to my bed, you understand, take a hot bath, you understand, and let me become sober. Let me sleep off this drunkenness that I'm in. But yet,
let me go to a fire on my bread.
Man.
That's what David was hoping for.
Right.
He got him drunk so he could say, you know what, let me go home and tie fire on that, on my rib.
Right. Man. But once again, you understand, that brotherhood kicked in Uriah. He decided to still sleep with his servants, man. He didn't return to his house. Read on.
Verse 15.
It's 14. So
no, so like verse 14. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah.
And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. Read on.
Verse 15. And he wrote in the letter saying, set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle.
Now, this letter said, set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle. Now, what is that talking about, man? That's talking about King David is setting up Uriah to be in the front of the battle. You understand? Just imagine, like you read, like, have you ever seen these movies, like these ancient movies, like what is it, like Gladiator?
Medieval.
Like medieval times. You understand? Like Gladiator and things of that nature. Troy. You understand, where you would have rows of men in the army. You understand? Now when it's set in a front. You understand? You're gonna get the front the front. What is that word? You will get the front action of that war. You understand? Or the sword swinging, or the cannons. You understand? The man in the front is usually the first to get unalived.
Right.
So now this is what King David is doing. He's setting Uriah up to be in front of and it says the hottest battle. You understand? That means the most extreme, the most sword swinging, bloodshed battle. Put Uriah in the forefront of that battle. Read on.
And retire ye from him.
And listen, and while he's in the forefront, you leave him there.
Right.
You understand? Now, do Joab have a conscience? You understand? Does this sound brotherly to me? Because now David is telling Joab to do something unbrotherly, man. You understand? I know if somebody told me to yeah, you know what? Don't talk to that brother. I'm gonna say, first of all, I'm going to acknowledge that you have a problem with that brother, and I'm going to say, go to that him and him alone and work that out. You understand? I'm not going to listen to your how can I put it? I'm not going to engage in a demon and have you try to make me look at that brother a certain way. You understand? You got to go to that him and him alone and work that out. But David is telling Joab to put Uriah in the front of the hottest battle and to retire from him, which means to leave him there. To what? To obviously what? To win the battle? No, it's to die, to get unalived. Read on.
That he may be smitten.
That he may be what?
Smitten.
That he may be smitten, slain. You understand? Read on.
And die.
And die. And what does that sound like? Does that not sound like the oppressor? You understand how he puts Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians in his wars? You understand? For us to get smitten first. You understand how he allowed allow women and the Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indian women in the militaries and law enforcement to be smitten first. You understand? This is a tactic that Esau does to Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians far too often.
Right.
To put us in the forefront. You understand? While the white man lives. While the white man don't catch the bullet first. Read on.
Verse 16. And it came to pass, when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were.
Now they are plotting. They are plotting against this. But what did Uriah do that was so unbrotherly, man? Because when I read, man, Uriah is doing everything brotherly, man, to his servants, to David and his servants. So now they're plotting the death of Uriah. Verse 15, verse 16, and it came to pass when Joab observed the city that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were. Valiant men were on King David's side or on the enemy side. You understand? No, he picked a battle where he saw that the men of the other nations were strong. You understand? Read on.
Verse 17. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab.
And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab. You understand? They picked a fight. You understand what I'm saying? Or to what? To have Uriah unalive in the front of the battle. Read on.
And there fell some of the people of the servants of David.
And there fell some of the people of the servants of David. And during that battle, men died. Men were unalive during that battle. Read on.
And Uriah the Hittite died also.
Read that again.
And Uriah the Hittite died also.
And it shall be that Uriah the Hittite, he died also, man. You understand? King David's mission was accomplished.
Right.
You understand? This is what King David wanted. And guess what? This is what King David got.
Right.
Or because what? Of a lust of a woman. Or because he could not control his flesh. Or because he couldn't say no to himself. He had to have this woman. What's her name? Bathsheba?
Bathsheba. Huh?
Bathsheba? Or because he wanted Bathsheba, man. This sister, who he was made aware that she had a husband, Uriah the Hittite. You understand? And in the night of passion or pleasure, or whatever you want to call it, she got pregnant. You understand? And then a lot of times, you understand, in that situation, you understand, you make haste in a time of trouble. Ecclesiasticus says, what? Make not haste in a time of trouble. You understand? Make not haste in a time of trouble. So now what? He has to eliminate and get and get Uriah out the equation. And the only way he could get Uriah out the equation is to lure him unto death. And he accomplished it, man. You understand? Meanwhile, Uriah, he stood by his side, stood by his servant's side, stood by Job's side. You understand? He never left during the battle. Where he was offered so many pleasures. Go down to your house. You understand? We'll have a hot meal. Lay with your woman. Have a hot bath, because your other servants are not getting this offer. You understand? Like when you're in the army, it's like Esau. You understand? You do tours. You don't get to go home. You understand? You got to stay out on the battle for probably what, 1 year, 2 years. You understand? The soldiers don't get to go home. But David, being the king, he told Uriah, listen, man, have a day off. But Uriah refused to, man, and slept and stood at the door of the king's house with his brothers. What more would you do when it comes down to your brothers? You understand? Would you bail on them? Would you forsake them? Would you run out on them? Just for some carnal pleasure? You understand? Just for some pleasure that's gonna last for what, 5-10 minutes?
Right.
You understand? Because guess what? Your brother lose his life. His life can't come back. You understand? Your sister lose her life can't come back. Or because of the hatred that you got for your brother or your sister. Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians, man, we got to get out the mindset of Christianity, man. Christianity told us to be selfish.
Right.
Christianity told us to think of ourselves first. What is that? What was that rap phrase? YOLO, you only live once.
Live once.
Living
my best life.
Living my best life. YOLO only live what?
You only live once.
Only live once. So I'm gonna go all out in my pleasures. Because that's exactly what it is. You're going all out in your pleasures. You're not keeping the Lord's statutes, commandments. You understand? You're eating pork chop, lobster, and shrimp. You're celebrating Thanksgiving. Now you're about to celebrate Christmas. You understand? A pagan holiday created by the white man has nothing to do with Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians. Matter of fact, they suffered during the times of these pagan holidays. But what are you going to do? You understand? You're going to submit to your own pleasure, your own self-will. Uriah was an example, you understand, on and the thing about this is, and the sad thing about this story is, Uriah didn't know what was going on. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't know King David had slept with his wife. You understand? He didn't know that King David impregnated his wife. But yet, all he knew was to stay faithful and loyal, man. I don't want to say faithful. Loyal. You understand? Like a true brother. Any more on that, sir?
Verse 18. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war. Verse 19. And charged the messenger, saying, when thou hast made an end of telling the matters of the war unto the king, verse 20, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, and he say unto thee, wherefore approach ye so nigh unto the city when he did fight? Knew ye not that they were shut from the wall?
All right, so basically, that's that on that. You understand? The moral of the story is that no matter what you go through, you understand? Always have love for your brother, because the thing is, if I may just go back to my title, Brotherhood overcomes evil intentions. Uriah didn't know that King David had evil intentions against him. You understand? Did Uriah die? Yes, he did. You understand? But the most important thing is that the Most High knew that Uriah had brotherhood and love for David and his servants. You understand what I'm saying? He died going out a righteous man. Even though Uriah died, he showed an example. You understand? He cut David in the spirit. He showed his servants what brotherhood is. Even though Uriah died, you may say, "Oh well, Uriah didn't win yet." Uriah, he got the win because he went out a righteous man. You understand? And now, when you read on in the story, you understand. The Most High is not going to allow David to get away with what he did. You understand? You could read on. You could read on and get the full story on your own time. Salaki, if I may, jump down to 26. We can jump down to 26.
26.
Come on.
2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 26.
Uh-huh.
And when the wife of Uriah heard that
and when the what?
Wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband.
Yeah, she mourned for her husband. You understand? You know, she committed adultery too. She's just as guilty as David. You understand? But yet in all, she loved Uriah and she mourned for Uriah, her husband. Read on.
And when the morning was past, verse 27, David sent and fetched her to his house. And she came, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord.
So, can you take the class over my son?
Come, I got you. Real quick, right? Sister R will be right back. Now, there's a scripture in Ecclesiasticus. I want to grab it real quick, right? In Ecclesiasticus, I believe it's Ecclesiasticus chapter 5, if I'm not mistaken, right? All right, it says this. Verse 7, right? In chapter 5 in Ecclesiasticus. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. All right. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed. Hold on one second. There's a specific verse that I'm looking for. Let me get it from verse 1, all right? So I probably skipped it. In Ecclesiasticus chapter 5, verse 1, it says, set not thy heart upon thy goods, and say not, I have enough for my life. Follow not thy own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart. In that instance, right, David did not follow the law. The law, statutes, and commandments of God, we are to meditate on them. If you read Psalm 1, right, the Psalm of David, Psalm 1 tells you this. Meditate on the laws day and night. You know, when you meditate on the laws, what you are doing, your life Everything that you do is according to the laws, statutes, and commandments of God. When David woke up early that morning, right? He woke up and then he stepped and saw that woman. If he was meditating on the laws of God, right, he would not be looking at that woman with lust. Even if he saw that, damn, she was fine as hell. This happened. It happened. It happened to brothers. We might see a woman. It's like, damn, she fine. And that's that. You have to cut it right there, right? If you see a woman and you think she's fine as hell, do you know if she have a husband? You don't know if she has a husband. So because of that, you have to stop it. All right. She may catch your attention. It's gonna happen. Right. You see a woman with a big tail, it's in your face. You see it. Now, what you gonna do now? Are you gonna lust after that woman? Because the minute you see it and you do not meditate on the laws and statutes and commandments of God, what you're going to do is do exactly what David did. Right. Which is follow his own mind. Right. He did not meditate on the laws. Because when you meditate on the laws, it happens all the time. Right. You go outside in New York, man, even in the wintertime, the sisters don't have no clothes on. Right. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's cold as hell. And their tail is out there, their cleavages is out there. What you gonna do? You're just gonna lust after every butt that you see, after every cleavage that you see? No, we don't do that. We see the woman, they fine, all right, that's that. We are men of the Lord. There's a standard in which we are supposed to live by. Right. And we do that by meditating on the laws of God. And this is what he says here in Ecclesiasticus chapter 5. Follow not thy own mind. Do not follow your own mind. David followed his own mind. He saw that woman, she was fine as hell. And then he went and, inquired about her, which is what we do in the ISUPK. You see a woman, you're attracted to her, you find out, that woman got a husband. The minute you know that she has a husband, that's that. That's right. Everything you thought about, how beautiful she was, how fine that, behind was, all of that goes out the window. Right. Because now you are in the know. When you didn't know if she was married or not. You just saw a fine woman, and then you asked about her, like, damn, who's that? And they told you, oh, this is such and such daughter. Right. She's married to this brother out of Atlanta. He's like, oh, that's such and such. Okay, thank you. The water. That's that. She's like your blood sister. Right. She's your sister now. Right. Because now you are in the know. You know exactly who she belongs to. If they tell you, oh, that's such and such daughter, she's been single, man. She's been single forever. Then you could go and talk to the father. I saw your daughter, man. I would like to court her. That is our culture. That's right. You don't follow your own mind. You live according to the culture that the Most High give us. That's right. All right. According to the law, I'm gonna pass it back to Officer Shaw. On sign Christ. Oh, you did? All right. Go on.
Most High Christ. Clap it up for preaching. Officer 5,000. Officer Yakizar. That was so heavy. So if I may, can I get that scripture? When Christ,
right in front of. What scripture you talking about?
When Christ said, "He that looketh upon another woman." Let's see. Man, that was heavy, man. We can't follow our own minds, man. You understand? And the Christian said, "Oh, God knows my heart." You understand? Right? Most High said that. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing that. Yeah, your heart is just full with evil, man. Your heart is just something that pumps blood. It's just a vessel. And the scriptures, when it says your heart, is talking about your mind.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 28.
Let me get that with you. That's Matthew 5, verse 28. Matthew 5, verse 28. Oh, man, Salakia, if I may. Let's jump to verse 27.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time.
Now, this is Christ, man. You understand? Christ, he did not do away with the law, statutes, commandments. You understand? Where it was a time where, you know, you've broken the law, statutes, commandments, there will be a priest to put you to death, to unalive you, depending on the circumstances of how severe the sin is. But, you know, Christ, you know, he came on the scene and he gave us a more spiritual understanding of the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand the spiritual aspect of the law. Where, listen, man, where the priests, man, they were ready to just to chop you down, man, when you committed a certain break a certain law. You understand? Statute or commandment against the Most High. No ifs, ands, or buts. You understand? Your head is chopped off. You understand? But Christ, he gave us a more better understanding and the compassion and mercy. Just for an example, you understand? Sidebar. The sister Mary, you understand, who was caught in the act of adultery. Now, it was lawful for her to be put to death by stones. You understand? But what did Christ say? He without sin cast the first stone and forgave Mary. And what did he say to Mary? Sin no more. You understand? So come on, let's read that Matthew chapter 5, verse 27.
Come, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
Right now, this is Christ speaking. You understand? These words I read, this is Christ speaking. And he say, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. What is the old time? You understand? That's referring to the book of Moses. You understand? In Exodus, that's where we can see this. This is where we can find this law. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Right.
Wait a minute. If Christ done away with the law, statutes, commandments, then why is he quoting and expounding on this law, this particular law? All right? Thou shalt, I'm going to read it again. He have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. And this is exactly what David did against Uriah. You understand? He committed adultery, slept with Uriah's wife. And that so be it that his wife was Bathsheba. That Bathsheba committed adultery and slept with another man, which was what? Which was David. All right? Adultery is when a man sleeps with another man's wife. And also adultery is when a woman sleeps with another man other than her husband. That's what committing adultery is. You understand? And then we also got spiritual aspects of adultery. You understand? Where we sin and follow gods of the other nations. You understand? But this is talking about physical adultery, right? We know about verse 28.
Come, verse 28. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman,
but I say unto you. You understand now? The but is Christ cutting in and giving you a more understanding. You understand of this law. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman
to lust after
her, just like Officer Yatadal was explaining. You know what I'm saying? You might see a women, Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indian are the best looking women on the face of the earth. I don't see why our nations settle for other nations. Go outside our nations. You understand? Our women are the finest women on the face of the earth. You go outside, you see a beautiful woman. You know what I'm saying? But you got to control where that mind goes. And this is what Christ is saying. But whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her, read on. Now, for teaching purposes, you understand, because a lot of us is naive, you understand? And the Christian church only knows lust. You understand? They know nothing else. They don't know self-control. They don't know mercy, compassion. They don't even tell the truth according to the Bible. There's no truth in the Christian church, in the Muslim mosques, in the Egyptology. You understand? But lust after her is what? You looking at that woman and you imagining what you could, or the filth that you can do to her. You understand? Have sex with her. Do this, that, and the third with her. You understand those sexual thoughts and desires when you see a woman with her breasts and behind her. Read on.
Have committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Have committed adultery already with her, Salakia. Have committed adultery with her already in his heart. So now Christ is saying, as if though you look upon that woman and you fantasize with her sexually, it's like you've done it physically.
Right.
Already in your heart, which meaning what? The mind.
Right.
You understand why? Because that's where the demon started, in your mind. You understand? It doesn't start in your heart, it starts in your mind. You understand? And then it carries you to a place where if you don't have control over your mind, you're gonna have sex with another man's wife, just like how David did to Uriah. You understand? You're gonna become jammed up.
And,
God,
and if I may, real quick, right? David, at the point that he lusted is when he find out, when he asked about her, and he find out who she belongs to, and still
right,
sent for her.
Right.
He committed adultery right there. That's when he committed the adultery.
Right.
He didn't commit the adultery when he woke up in the morning and he saw that beautiful woman, because she was beautiful to look upon. He saw her, and then he went and asked, "Who's that woman?" And they told him, "Oh, that's such and such wife."
Right.
And he committed adultery because he said, "Go get her for me."
That's hardcore.
Because he was lusting after her. He did it at this point. He had the opportunity to not sin. That was the demon. That was the point where you either take on that demon or you fight the demon.
Right.
That was the point. And David did not fight that demon. That demon overthrew him.
Right.
And then he fell for it and he said, "Go get her."
Right.
Because in his mind, he already committed adultery.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That was heavy. That was hardcore. If I may, can I get John chapter 15, verse 13? You understand? We're going to read what type of spirit this brother, you understand, this valiant brother, this honorable brother, you understand, this loyal brother, Uriah had. We're going to read it in John chapter 15, verse 13. We could start at verse 12. We could start at verse 12.
Verse 12. Come. The book of John, chapter 15, verse 12.
Again, this is Christ. You understand? This is a black man, Christ. You understand who's talking right now? These are his words.
Share it to the screen. The book of John, chapter 15, verse 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another.
And this is Christ's commandment. You understand that the Mexicans love the so-called blacks. You understand? That the Dominicans love the Haitians. That the North Americans, you understand, love the Seminole Indians. That the West Indians love the Puerto Ricans. You understand what I'm saying? Christ commanded that the 12 tribes of Israel, Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians, love each other. This is a commandment from Christ himself. You understand? In the face of all this evil that Donald Trump and his empire is pouring down on our people, you understand? We got to combat their evil with us loving each other, like how Christ said. You understand? That's the only way, you understand? One of the ways how to build up a kingdom, man, is to come back to your nation and love your brothers and sisters, Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians. Verse 12, this is my commandment that he love one another. Read on.
As I have loved you.
As I have loved you. Christ loved us. You understand? And he showed and gave an example on how much he loved us, man. That he gave his life so that we can have a second life. And what is that second life? That second life is just not living, day to day carnally. You understand? That life is law, statutes, and commandments. Keeping these law, statutes, commandments. That's what the real life is about. You know what I'm saying? When you read the book of Ezekiel and the dry bones, you understand? I'm paraphrasing. You understand? These are talking about brothers who were spiritually lost, didn't know who they were. Didn't know that they were the chosen people of the Most High God. You understand that they was given law, statutes, commandments. You understand that the 12 tribes of Israel we are brothers and sisters. Once you know that, that's life, brothers and sisters. You understand? Life is not chasing a dollar, chasing a bag. You understand? Or who could push the fastest whips, or who could get the most beautifulest woman. You understand? Or for you sisters out there, who could get the most biggest the BBLs. You understand? Who could chase the bag? That's not life, man. You understand? That's not everyday living, man. You understand? But life is keeping these law, statutes, commandments. Coming to your nation, following what? Serving the Sabbath, Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, of first fruits, Purim, Hanukkah, the feasts of the high holy days and the feasts of the Lord. The Lord has high holy days. So we don't go sure.
Come. Verse 13. Greater love have no man than this.
Read that again.
Greater love have no man than this.
Now, this is the spirit of Uriah, man. You understand? Who stood by his brothers, man. Who stood by David and his servants. Never left the battle, man. You understand? He followed the order and went into the forefront of the hottest battle. You know what I'm saying? Now Eddie Cowan would be like, listen, man, nah, I ain't going to the front of the battle, man. Nah, man. You know what I'm saying? But he went in front of the battle, man, knowing that, listen, man, it's a possibility that he could save the brothers that's in back of him their lives. Read that from the top of the show.
Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
Greater love hath no man than this. This is no greater love. That a man laid down his life for his friends, man. You understand? That a man laid down his life for his friends. That's showing great love. When you lay down your life for your friend, man. You understand? A man that's going to war with you. You understand? Righteously. You understand? Who's going to battle with you? You understand? Going through the ups and downs. Are you going to bail out on that man? Are you going to forsake that man? You understand? Are you going to leave that man in a time of need when he's been there for you? Or you're going to show brotherhood, you know what I'm saying, and be there for that brother or and sister. You know what I'm saying? Sisters, brotherhood is synonymous to sisterhood. Are you going to be there for that sister, or are you going to taunt that sister, or mistreat that sister, or look down on that sister? Or are you going to uplift her spirit? You know what I'm saying? Or are you going to offer her your husband? But yeah, are you going to lay down your life? And laying down your life, you understand? Also, mean, hey, listen, man, being kind kind to one another, man. Listen, I live in the Bronx, man, and every morning, it never fails. Every morning on the train in the Bronx is very unbrotherly. There's a sister cursing out another sister. There's a brother cursing out a sister. There's a sister cursing out a brother. You understand? What did the scripture say? A kind word will take away wrath. I'm paraphrasing, man. Could uplift a brother and sister a whole day. You could have saved that brother or sister life by just saying good morning. How you doing? Is everything okay? Instead of being rude and disrespectful and having a filthy, disgusting mouth, and watch your mouth. You understand what I'm saying? Because we're living in a tense time, man. Us Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians. That's why it's imperative for you to come into ISUPK under Commander General Yohana. You understand? That way, you get to know the Bible. You get to understand the Lord's his will, what he wants, what he requires. Because if you out there all alone on your own, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna trust in this empire. And right now, this empire is a scary place to live, to be in, if you don't know who you are. Why? Because you trust in your government. You trust in Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? You trust that he's going to make it easy for you. That he's going to make it easy. Someday, some president is going to make it easy for Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians. That's never going to happen, man. You understand? We got to return to this nation, like Zephaniah said. Gather yourself together. Yea, gather yourself together, O nation not desired. I'll read that again, Bokasha, verse 13.
Verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend.
That a man lay down his life for his friends. And that's exactly the spirit of Uriah, man. You know, he went out there in the forefront of the hottest battle. Didn't know what the hell was going on behind his back. And he laid down his life. You understand? Better I died than one of my servants died, or Joab, or David. You understand? I'm going to take the full front of the battle. And guess what? And unfortunately, you understand, Uriah, he died, but you understand, in the spirit, he was victorious because he showed King David, Joab, and his servants what brotherhood is. All right? Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 3. First, let me see. I'll get there with you. First Maccabees chapter 3, and let's start at. Oh man, let's start at So to sum it up, Salakia. This is Judas and the Maccabees fighting against the Greeks, right? We in battle. We about to go to war. You understand? Things is hot. Things is tense. So let's start at our First Maccabees chapter 52. Let's start at verse 52. First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 52. We're going to start at verse 52 for me. Shout out to all the brothers and sisters in the chat. Make sure you share this class to the world, man. You understand? Share this class to all your streaming platforms or your social media platforms. class. Make sure you like the class. Make sure you subscribe to these channels and share this class throughout the world. You never know. You may save a brother or sister life when you share the classes of the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana. Right. You understand? You sharing these classes is showing brotherhood and sisterhood. Someone out there needs help. Someone out there needs to hear this word, this truth. Right. According to the Bible. Don't be selfish. I know you got Facebook. I know you got Instagram. All you got to do is just tap and share, and that's it. You understand? And you save the brother or sister life. Right? O Son in Christ.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 52. And lo, the heathen assembled together against us to destroy us.
Yes, you understand? The oppressor wants to destroy Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians. They are assembled against us, like how it says in Psalms chapter 83. You understand? They don't want the name of Israel to be no more in remembrance. The same how it is today, the same how it is in the ancient times, the same how it was in the ancient times, the same how it is in modern times. You understand? And these brothers, Judas and his brothers, are fighting against the Greeks. You understand? Read on.
What things they imagine against us, thou knowest.
What things they imagine against us, thou knowest. You understand? Listen, man, they want Mexicans out of this, what is it? America. You understand? They want the Haitians out of America. So they're gonna want the so-called blacks and Negroes out of America, man. You understand? So Donald Trump is gonna want only white people in America, man. You understand? He wants to put us back in slavery, in chains and shackles. You understand? Just can you imagine you understand the thoughts that they have against us, which are shown every day through what? Police brutality, ICE. You understand? Wicked imaginations. You understand? They're putting the LGBTQ, you understand, into our school system. Read on.
Verse 53. How shall we be able to stand against them except thou, O God, be our help?
It may seem hard. You understand? It may seem like we have no help. How can we stand against them, man? You understand? They got the Army, they got the Air Force, they got the Marines, they got the Navies. You understand? They got tanks and missiles and nuclear weapons. You understand? How can we stand law enforcement on our back? They got ICE. How can we stand against such a people that's so great an army? Read on. Salakia, can you read that again, Baba Kasha?
Verse 53. How shall we be able to stand against them except thou, O God, be our help?
I know it's hard in the ghettos, the slums, and the reservations. You understand? We're underpaid. You understand? We're the first to get hired. Salakia, we're the first to get fired. Last to get hired. You understand? Health insurance is increasing. We still got gangs in our neighborhoods. We still got drugs in our neighborhoods. We still got abortions in our neighborhoods. You understand? How can we make it, Lord, out of this? You understand? Our back is up against the wall. How can we come out this situation that we're in? It seems like the oppressors and the other nations is winning. Read on.
Verse 54. Then sounded they with trumpets and cried with a loud voice.
And then sounded they with trumpets and cried with a loud voice. You understand? This is them getting back on their feet, man. You understand? Forget the self-pity, man. It's a time now we got to stand up now. You understand? We got to stand up to this situation. Now, here in the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana, we're not telling you to fight the white man with tanks and missiles and guns, because we don't have that. You understand? And we don't commit violence. We don't commit crime like the other nations do, but there is a way to stand up. You understand? And that's to come back to your nationality and worship the Most High God. You understand? And follow these law, statutes, commandments, and obey our King Christ. That's how you win against the other nations. When your back is against the wall, that's how you get the victory. You understand? That's how you overcome the pain and the struggles and the setbacks and the hurt. You understand? That this oppression in this world gave to us. Read on.
Verse 55. And after this, Judas ordained captains over the people, even captains over thousands and over hundreds, and over 50s and over 10.
Now it's time to set up some type of order now. You understand? It's time for us to get organized and get ourselves in order. You understand? And we have that here in ISUBK. We have a ranking system. You understand? Where we get things in order. Read on.
Verse 56. But as for such as were building houses.
Now, you understand? You had some with these men, with these ranking men that was being pulled. You understand? Some of them, you understand? Some of them, they were building houses. Read on, sir.
Or had betrothed wives.
Some of them were betrothed wives. You understand? Everyday men. You understand? Just like how we come into the ISUBK. You understand? Some of us had business. Some of us was just starting businesses. Some of us had just, you understand, got children, got women. You understand? Read on.
Or were planting vineyards.
Or planting vineyards. Read on.
Or were fearful.
And some were fearful. You understand? Listen, man. If you scared, you understand? If you nervous, you understand? If you feel like you can sacrifice, you understand, and put your spirit into the battle. Read on.
Those he commanded that they should return. Every man to his own house.
Every man to what?
His own house.
Every man to what?
His own house.
Every man to his own house. You understand? Didn't King David try to get Uriah to return to his own house? But Uriah, man, you understand that this is the spirit of Uriah. Uriah, he didn't return to his own house, man. He said, nah, man, I'm going to stay with my brothers, man. You understand? Hey, listen, you fearful? There's nothing wrong with that. You got a woman. Nothing wrong with that. You put in a vineyard, you put in a house. We understand that. You could go return to your house, man. We'll have some other brother that will fill in your shoes. No sweat. You know what I'm saying?
Verse 57.
So I could read that last part. We could start at verse 56 from the top of.
Verse 56. But as for such as were building houses.
Some were building houses.
Or had betrothed wives.
Some even betrothed wives.
Or were planting vineyards.
Planted vineyards, gardens, read on.
Or were fearful.
Or were just plain fearful, man. They didn't have the spirit to fight in a war. Read on.
Those he commanded that they should return, every man to his own house, according to the law.
According to what?
The law.
According to the law. Hey, listen, this was lawful, man. If you are unable to do it, no sweat. It's better you return to your house than for you to be faint at battle. You understand? And cause another brother's life to be lost. No problem. You understand? But guess what? You're right. He never returned to his house, man. You understand? He stood at the battle with his brothers. And so much that he lost his life. Read on, Baba Kushal.
Verse 57. So the camp removed and pitched upon the south side of Emos.
Read on.
Verse 58. And Judah said, arm yourselves and be valiant men.
Arm yourselves and be valiant men. Men with courage. You understand? Strong men. No cowards. Read on. Men of war. Read on.
And see that ye be in readiness against the morning.
And be prepared to go into battle in the morning. Read on.
That we may fight with these nations.
That we may fight with these nations. You understand? These other nations. You understand? Every morning it's a battle. Waking up every morning is a battle when you wake up. You understand? That's why we have a model that says what? Life is about warfare. You understand? Waking up in the morning is about warfare. Going to work is about warfare. You understand? Taking care of your wife and your children is about warfare. Everything is about warfare. You understand? Read on.
That are assembled together against us to destroy us in our sanctuary.
Because this world is ready to destroy Black, Hispanic, and Native North American Indians, man. The demons that come in your mind is ready to destroy us. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, man, people that you love, your mother, your father, your daughter, your son is ready to destroy you. Life is about warfare, man. You got to be prepared. You got to understand what you're getting yourselves into. Read on.
Come on. Verse 59. For it is better for us to die in battle.
For this what?
Better for us to die in battle.
For it's better for us to die in battle, man. Uriah had the spirit that it would be better for him to die in battle than to what? To go home and have self-pleasure. Go home to sleep in a warm bed, a warm, cozy bed. You understand? To tear fire to his wife, to have food. You understand? You don't think his other men desired that too? His men wasn't given the opportunity to get that. Only Uriah. But Uriah, man, that brother was strong and he was sincere and loved the brotherhood, and he died in battle. Read on.
Then to behold the calamities of our people and our sanctuary.
That's heavy. Read that again.
Then to behold.
Then to behold, to witness, to look, to see, to observe, to be there in the presence. Read on.
The calamities,
the downfall. You understand? The pain, the hurt, the trottenness. You understand? The overcoming of who?
Of our people.
Of our people. Read on.
Our sanctuary.
Our sanctuary. Our people, our nation, and our sanctuary. Just to stand there and let it go to waste. You understand? Just like your Christian church. Your Christian church stands there and lets you go to waste. By what? Allowing you to indulge in things that God doesn't like LGBTQ, eating pork, crab, lobster, and shrimp, adultery. This is the things that your Christian church pushes, man. They say that Christ done away with the laws. They don't want you to be righteous and holy. They want you to be filthy. Your Christian pastor stands there and watches your calamity, and he does nothing. Doesn't that say in the scriptures, if I believe? And the shepherds pity ye not. You understand? The shepherds don't pity you. When it's talking about the shepherds, it's talking about your leaders. Your shepherds don't pity you in the time of your calamity, in the time of your pain and your hurt and your needs and your wants. Read verse 59 again, Mobile Shah.
Verse 59 in the book of Maccabees, chapter 3. For it is better for us to die in battle.
For it is better for me to stand with my brothers and sisters who are in the same war with me, who's warring with me. Read on.
Then to behold the calamities of our people and our sanctuary.
And just, it's better for me to die, you understand, than to watch my people fall, to watch my temple, my worship place get destroyed, to watch my homeland get overthrown. It's better for me to die. You understand? At least I fought. At least I did something. At least I didn't cower out. Right? And this is the spirit of Uriah. And so many other valiant brothers and sisters in the Bible, like the brothers, the 7 sons that lost their lives, like Eleazar. You understand? Brothers like Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, and so many other brothers. Our King Yahushua. Read on.
Nevertheless, as the will of God is in heaven, so let him do.
Nevertheless, as the will of God is in heaven. What is the will? The will is the spirit of God. So let him do. You understand? You got a choice. Black, Hispanic, and Native American, Indian man and woman. You understand? Are you going to serve God or are you not going to serve God? Are you going to be brotherly, sisterly, or not brotherly or sisterly, man? You understand? But if I was you, you understand, I would choose that you choose right, what's right. And love your brother and love your brother and your sister as thyself. And with that, I'm Priest and Officer Sha'ar. I'm going to pass the class over to Priest and Officer 5000, Officer Yatazar.
Most High Christ. Clap it up for the class. Christ. Individual. Imagine, which means to stand. We're going to give one courtesy salute. Individual. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shah Barak Atam. Yajim Mata. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Sisters, Imagine. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Shema Alatan Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shah. Yajim Mata. Dismiss. You.